Hey guys, John here. So a while ago, we were doing an open mic and somebody asked a question. I can't remember what the specific question was, but it was surrounded money and stuff like that. And I kind of brought up some of the wisdom my dad imparted to me and some other people that I would consider mentors in my life imparted to me that helped me manage and navigate my life financially, to the point that I've been able to, take care of myself, all the way back from when I made $400 a month up until today. They're the exact same financial principles that I live by today that when I was making 400 bucks a month to making pretty decent money today. So ever since then, I've had a bunch of people ask me to make a little video talking about that. Since now I'm kind of an elder statesman, I guess, in this space. So I think these principles can apply to anybody, whether you're trying to do a YouTube channel, whether you're just doing any sort of thing as a career or whatever. Now, let me be very, very specific here. The advice I'm going to be communicating to you that was given to me is not to be interpreted as financial advice. I am not a financial expert by any stretch of the imagination. And listen, financial principles are not a one size fits all. Just because what I'm about to explain to you worked for me, maybe you don't consider it would be something that would work for you. It's not a one size fits all thing. I'm simply going to tell you the lessons that have been passed on to me that have worked for me, and you can take that and do with it as you will. Some of this stuff isn't going to apply to you. It doesn't apply to every situation, right? Like if you literally have no money in your bank account and you don't have a job right now and whatever, yeah, some of this won't apply to you, but I think this would apply to a lot of people. And by the way, nothing I'm going to tell you today is necessarily revolutionary or groundbreaking. Hell, I doubt anything I'm about to tell you is something you haven't heard before, but maybe hearing it in context about how it's applied to me in my life, maybe that'll help it make sense to you. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to go through 7 pieces of advice that have been passed on to me that I've implemented in my life. And that first bit of advice that was passed on to me that I live my life by is live below your means. Living below your means sounds simple. If you make X amount of dollars, then if you sit down and add up all the money you make in a month or all the money you spend in a month on rent, bills, car payments, student loans, eating out, groceries, social money, collectibles, like whatever, make sure that that amount of money ends up being less the amount of money that you make. I know that sounds simple, but 9 out of every 10 people, it seems to me, aren't able to do that. I'll give you a quick example, right? When I was doing this before this point, but when I was first graduated, my first job after graduating, I was working as a litigation law clerk in this law firm. And after taxes, I was probably making about $2,000 a month is probably what I was making. So not terrible, not great. So I had to get myself an apartment. I had to get myself a place to live. And I could have gotten a little bit of a nicer place, but I decided for me, live below my means. I got a 450 square foot bachelor apartment with, the kinds that doesn't have a separate bedroom. It's all just one room and a bathroom, $600 a month. It was not a nice place. It was not a place I was proud to bring women home to. Not that I was bringing a lot of women home, but that's neither here nor there. I was also still driving a Dodge Colt that my dad got for free, and it was already old and it was rusting, and I think even the seats were torn. I probably could have managed to gone out and get myself another car, but you know what? The car worked. Anyway, I would make sure I grocery shopped. I still ate out now and again and all that kind of stuff, but I made sure, how much money do I get every month and how much money do I spend every month? And wherever humanly possible, I budgeted and I made sure I stuck to it. I always did. I made sure I spent less every month than what I actually made. The second big piece of advice is the one that has stuck with me the most, because I heard my dad say it once. If you can't pay for it in cash, you can't afford it. If you can't pay for it in cash, you can't afford it. a lot of people I know, a lot of people you know, when you look around, like whether or not you have the money for something doesn't seem to be a big obstacle to people. There's ways you can buy it on, on a payment plan. Oh, they make it sound so easy. Oh, just buy it on a payment plan, or you pay for it on your credit cards or all that kind of stuff. Debt is the number one shackle you will ever have. Well, I could pull out a credit card and buy that. No. If you can't pay for that in cash right now, then what that means is that you can't afford it. And so, like I was talking about the car, right? I would drive no car. As a matter of fact, the car I drove to Los Angeles in when I first moved to LA 16, 17 years ago, I kept that car even though it was not fit for driving anymore for a good 11 years. Because if I couldn't just go and buy a new car, then that means I couldn't afford a new car, at least in my philosophy, right? So I would save money and save money and save money. If there's something that I really wanted, then it was worth waiting for, and I would put it off till later. That takes discipline. People don't like discipline. I get it. And listen, there are always going to be exceptions in life. Hey, I need a surgery and I can't live without the surgery and I need to pay it. Obviously, there are exceptions, okay? I'm not saying there aren't, but in principle, if you can't pay for it in cash, you can't afford it. Number 3 is put money towards the things that increase your value to an employer or moves you towards your goals. The way I heard somebody say it once when I was here, I think it was one of my uncles, who said, put your money to the things, what did he say? Oh yeah, put your money towards the things that make you more marketable. Now, in essence, I think what he meant at the time was talking about education, right? Going to school. And I believe in that. I paid for myself to go to school and I made sure that I was marketable. I was putting money towards, by going to school, something that would make me stand out better on a resume when I was applying to jobs for different things. When I was getting into web design, I put money towards courses on web design. In essence, once you're already living below your means and you're not paying for things that you can't buy in cash, and you've got some cash, well, put some of that cash that you have towards the things that move you towards your goals or that makes you more marketable or more valuable to a future employer. The 4th point, or a bit of wisdom, I guess, sounds very, very similar to a couple of the other ones, but it stands alone. Stay out of debt. To be more specific, stay out of debt where humanly possible. I remember when I was going to school, I did not want to get student loans. Because even as a younger kid, I saw the horror stories people would tell about spending so much time of their lives trying to get out of student debt, trying to pay off their student debt. I was pretty committed not wanting to go into any kind of debt. My first year of school, my dad stepped forward and offered to pay for my first year of school. Thank you, Dad. And after that, I paid for myself. I paid my own way. Now, I had to wait. I couldn't go to school exactly when I wanted to. I had to wait because I had to save up the money to make sure I could do it. And then I earned money through that school year, working secondary jobs and stuff like that, so I could pay off my second year and so on and so forth. But maybe you're somebody that's not an option. Again, I moved heaven and earth to make sure I didn't have to get student loans. Maybe you're in a position where you can't do that, and education is important, and maybe that's one of the things that's worth going into debt for. But I kind of promised myself the only thing I would let myself go into debt for was something that I couldn't possibly save up for first, which is when I was going to buy a house. I'm going to have to get a mortgage. I understood that, but that's it. Never, ever let myself go into debt. Financial pillar number 5 that I live my life by is attack whatever debt you have. Look, the chances are wherever you're at in life, as I was at one point, you probably have some kind of debts, whether it's credit card debts, payment plans you're still working off, maybe it's student loans, whatever. I don't do anything else with my money. Anything else with my money. And this was true when I was making $400 a month to today. If I have any outstanding debt, there is nothing I do with my money other than attacking that debt and getting rid of the debt. No trips, nothing like that. I attacked my debt. Hell, I even remember when Ann and I got married, shortly after we got married, we sat down and we looked at our individual things. And my wife has done a lot of schooling. She's got a couple of bachelor's degrees, a couple of master's degrees, and she's working on her doctorate right now. So she had student debt. And I said, okay, our number one financial priority in our life right now is getting rid of that student debt. We didn't get new cars. We didn't get a house. We didn't get it. We decided that the number one thing we had to do was to pay off any credit card debts and pay off any student debts. That's what's the first priority you do with that money that you have left over after you're living off your means, is getting rid of debt, getting rid of debt, getting rid of debt, because there is no greater sense of financial freedom in life than simply not having any debt. Financial pillar number 6 of wisdom that I live my life by is this: create an emergency fund. An emergency fund is simply a nest egg of money that you've put aside that can cover you in case of an emergency for anywhere between 4 to 6 months worth of living expenses. So for argument's sake, if you sat down to do your budgeting and you see that, oh, my rent, my car payment, hopefully you don't have a car payment, but I'm just saying your rent, your gas, your bills, your food, all that kind of stuff, okay, comes out to about $2,000 a month. Okay. Well, then what I would say is create a nest egg, create a emergency fund of anywhere between, $8,000 to $12,000, anywhere between 4 to 6 months. So that if your job suddenly disappeared tomorrow, or your car suddenly broke down, or whatever else, that you've got an emergency fund there of money that can sustain you without another dollar coming in for 4 to 6 months. Or you can pay for that emergency medical bill, or you can pay for that emergency car repair, that you've got that bit of money set aside. Talking about feeling financial freedom is not only the big thing, getting rid of any debt you have. That's huge, at least for me. The other real big sense of financial freedom is knowing that, okay, even if something goes horrible tomorrow, I've got backup money there. And then listen, it's going to take you time. It took me time to build up my emergency fund. It takes time to put that money away. You're not going to be able to do it overnight. It might take a year. It might take 2 years. But again, I would say live below your means, only buy things you can buy with cash, putting a little bit of your money towards that, attacking your debt, but then taking money and putting it and feeding it into that emergency fund, because believe me, in times when I wasn't making much money, because I spent years adhering to those financial principles, and I spent years, driving ugly ass, dumpy cars and all that kind of stuff, and I was feeding money into an emergency fund, I never felt financially stressed. Even when I wasn't making much money at all, I didn't feel financially stressed because I didn't have any debt hanging over my head, and I knew that if everything went south, I got 4 to 6 months worth of living expenses there. Put your money towards that. Okay, final one. Financial pillar of wisdom number 7 that I kind of live my life by is invest your money. I don't care where you invest it. Be smart. Even start with something as simple as that little Acorns app. Even that's great. Now, you can find a million videos on YouTube about how to invest your money and all that kind of stuff. So you go and do some research about the best way to do it. But just start taking money and start putting into investments. Investments can grow. Put them into, some ETFs. Put them into some index funds. Put them into something safe. Whatever you want to do. Don't be stupid with your money. Don't try to get rich quick overnight. Me personally, and I'm only speaking for me, I started, years ago, starting putting money in investments into dividend ETFs. I put money into these ETFs, and you can just do a quick Google search for what an ETF is. Really simple. And I started buying ETF stocks that paid dividends. And today, right now today, just in dividends, I make almost $3,000 a month just in dividends. I've bought enough stocks and stuff like that in dividend stocks that, a dividend is simply a payment that the stocks pay you every quarter, every year, every month, whatever, just for owning the stock. And, I've got some dividend ETFs and stocks that pay 3% a year, that pay 12% a year, that pay 7% a year. Anyway, and I just slowly keep feeding money into that over the years. And I'm at a place now that just my dividends alone, if I quit my job tomorrow, forget all the money that I've got in the stocks, Just the dividends, I'm making like almost $3,000 a month now. Now, you're not going to get there overnight. That's going to take a lot of time. But fortunately, a lot of you guys who are watching this are probably like 20 years younger than I am. And so you got a long time to get there. Some of you might be the same age as me. Don't worry, you can get there too. But yeah, so just to highlight again, the financial pillars of wisdom, I'll call them, that I have lived my life by: live below your means, make sure you're spending less money every month than you make. If you can't buy it with cash, put it into your head that that means you can't afford it and you can't buy it. Start saving for it and then buy it when you can buy it in cash. Also, putting money, when you do have that money left over, putting money towards the things that will get you closer to your goals. You want to be a visual effects artist? Start taking courses. Put money towards that you can then market yourself better or moves you towards your goals. Stay out of debt as much as humanly possible. Then next, whatever debts you do have, use your money to attack that debt until it's dead and gone and out of your life. Then make sure you're feeding money and funneling money into an emergency fund. That way you've got that nest egg there for when you need it. And then once all of that is done, start using some of your leftover money to put towards investments, investing in your future. And again, I'm not going to tell you how to invest. A million ways to do that. Go safe, go easy, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, take that as you will. That is, those are the principles that have been passed on to me that I've lived my life by, that have sustained me and gotten me through things when, after I quit my job and I was doing the movie blog at $400 a month, all the way up to when I got my first six-figure paycheck working at AMC. And then dropping back down after quitting Collider and making much less money to then building myself back up to whatever. It's always been doable because I've always lived by the right financial principles, at least right in how they applied to me. Anyway, guys, if you have any other words of wisdom, maybe you think the principles I live my life by are completely stupid. That's fine too. I'm just sharing what has worked for me. Hopefully some of you guys have found that helpful. Maybe yes, maybe no. Anyway, let me know what you think. And until next time, everybody, I'll talk to you later.